Climb for the 2024 CrossFit Games here inside Dickies Arena in Fort Worth, Texas. I'm Chase Ingham. Along with me is Adrian Conway, and Mike Arsenault is on the floor alongside with us all weekend long as the individual women took on Midline Climb, and it's now the men's turn.
It is. It's 50 deadlifts, 3 rope climbs, 50 cal ski, 3 rope climbs, 50 GHD, 3 rope climbs, and then guess what? They worked their way back all the way through the end to finish with those 50 deadlifts at 225.
You got to see the women take this on. Any changes to your go-ruck steps to success?
You know, I don't have any particular changes. It was pretty tried and true. We want to see that the athletes pace early and then race late, starting in a very controlled manner and building intensity throughout. And then it's midline madness here throughout this combination of movements of hinging and trunk flexion, and that really adds up over time.
1 minute.
You're starting 10 in heat number 1. And I hate to say a familiar face in the first heat after the first event of the CrossFit Games, but Pat Vellner, another outside 30 finish on an event 1 run swim.
Yeah, we had some things to say before this week really started about Pat. Like, hey man, we wanted you to start with a top 20, top 15. Give us something, Pat. But he Vellnered it, and now we're in the first heat. But the unique thing here, Chase, is he has an opportunity to really set a very go-getter time to beat here from the very first heat. In fact, I could pick him to win this whole thing in regards to this particular event.
Another athlete that had a lot of traction coming in, and that's rookie Austin Hatfield.
Yeah, on paper, man, he's very impressive. The numbers and the things that he is capable of are at very high level. Strength, mixed modality. I want to see what he can do in a chipper like this on a longer time domain.
Stand by.
10 athletes on the floor here for individual mint number 1. All 10 stepping to the barbell, 50 deadlifts at 225. Advancing the bar every 10 reps. And just some big names here in the first heat. We've already mentioned Pat Vellner. Bailey Martin, who had a great rookie year last year, amazing performance at the Torian Pro, and then Emil Harris is back, missed last year, did not qualify. He is now back in action. What, sitting here in the first heat?
Yeah, absolutely, and I think for Guy, it's less of a shock for us than someone like Pat, who we at least had hope for really executing maybe on the run swim. Guy, more of a power-based athlete, has a specialization in cycling and moving heavy barbells, so these deadlifts we know present no problem for Guy that you see there on the right. However, it's 100 reps at a moderate load for someone like him, and that can really add a lot of fatigue. And will that be a problem for him, not to start, but more so on the back half of this event?
Emil Harris might get his chance. We've got a power output event coming up later today after this, and then we're hitting the track tonight at Farrington Field.
You're right, and I think, again, that speaks to the beauty of the way that we test for fitness, Chase. We're going to have some workouts that are going to be home runs for some athletes, where they really lean in. It's a combination of strengths for them, and then other ones where they have to do what we categorized already as damage control.
There you see Cole Sager, 11 consecutive CrossFit Games, one of 2 athletes to do that through the qualification process. That is him and an athlete we'll see a little bit later, Bjorkman Carl Goodmanson, is Pat Vellner in lane number 8. He's already making light work of these rope climbs, and you think about deadlifts. This event lines up really well for Pat. The complete opposite skill set lineup as he had from day 1 to day 2.
Yeah, absolutely. We're getting several things that are in the favor of Pat. And one of the most beautiful things here is that he has a unique ability to pace a chipper like this. Chase, I've watched him walk off the floor just yawning and waiting for competitors in an event just like this. So I really like the way that this plays out. And as we saw already, we talked about the importance of transitions earlier today as we watched the women. Man, he's running from apparatus to apparatus here through his transition. So he's definitely looking forward to each movement in this series.
Pat Vellner, your current leader. Cole Sager, 11 consecutive CrossFit Games, sitting here in heat number 1. CrossFit Sager, former running back at the University of Washington, which, you can show a little respect to a fellow running back out here.
That's right. Cole and I have that in common. He played at Washington. Of course, I played my days at Weber State University in Utah. But I want to say something that Cole and all these athletes are much more than just athletes. They're human beings, and Cole is a unique leader that we've seen time and time again within our space. Even in lieu of the tragedy that we've been facing here over the last 24 hours, Cole's someone that this whole group of men has relied upon to be a spokesperson, to be a leader, to represent even just others' opinions that may not have wanted to speak up and share theirs directly.
Cole Sagan, the center part of your screen, bracketed by Callum Clement, rookie out of the French Throne, and Arthur Semenoff out of Red Tower CrossFit. All athletes onto a 50 cal skis. So the women did 30, the men are doing 50. Here for this mid-line climb, event number 2. First event these athletes will do in Dickies Arena. Definitely not the last, as your leader overall is Pat Vellner, but top part of your screen, 95 reps is where Vellner's at, but Cole Grieshaber is starting to catch Pat Vellner just at the 4-minute mark. So we've had 2 rounds of 3 climbs to 13 feet on the A-frame rigs, and lurking in the back, you can see the Zeus rig that is in Dickies Arena indoors for the first time in CrossFit Games history. Usually you see that on a football field outside, as Vellner makes his way to his second set of 3 rope climbs.
But Grieshaber right there with him, man. You mentioned it when you said he was closing the gap, and he really did on that ski. Chase, Grieshaber, one of those athletes that I saw in the West semifinal, he rode a pace on the handstand walk row couplet that just offended me. And it was so fast that I couldn't be but surprised with the capacity that he was able to show. In fact, Pat Vellner was a part of that heat, and so was Brent Bukowski. I remember them both looking over at him on the row like, bro, what are you doing to this thing? And he was certainly the first off, so I can definitely say that it's expected for him when he gets back to that ski to also be another place he can make some moves.
Pat Vellner taking a look to the right for the last 3 reps, and to me, that's trying to see what type of pace Grieshaber is holding when it comes to cycling these GHD sit-ups.
Yeah, and when you think about the vet that Pat is and the experience and all the reps that he's taken on a competition floor, he's got a bit of a unique opportunity to be able to game the field and not just be giving his all the time.
And you see on the back of Cole Sager's jersey, who actually had a beautiful post about his thoughts and feelings about the passing of Lazar Jukic yesterday, has Lazar's last name on the back of his jersey. We've seen a lot of different ways athletes are paying their respects on the team side and the individual women's side. We saw some sit at the start line for a solitary minute as a way to pay respects, and Cole Sager has Lazar Jukic's last name covering his in this heat.
Yeah, and I think that's the beauty as we all just recognize this unique time that we're in right now, is that everyone's doing something special the way that they know how, and it's very different across the board. But that's the beauty and a reflection of our community at large. This is literally a combination of humans all across the face of this earth, from different areas, and have different interests and have different passions, but these commonalities that we share right here on the competition floor, this CrossFit thing that we got going on, this is where we all come together.
Pat Vellner off the GHD, 50 reps are done, now to 3 climbs on the Zeus rig. The rope goes from 13 feet to nearly 18 feet.
Counted 50 for Grieshaber in lane 4. He's next off the GHD.
Wow, he was able to create some great separation there between Grieshaber there, just on the GHDs alone.
Wasted no time to begin.
Pat Vellner
All the way up at 3.
working through his second rep, now to his third.
Only 2 athletes at Zeus at this point. They're about to get some compliments below the GHD.
Vellner's done it right back to the GHD, so doing that in nearly less than 60 seconds. Great to do to keep ahead of the pace, but you're coming right back to the GHD after you just raced 50 reps to do it all over again.
That's right, but he knew what he was getting himself into. I think Pat really favors and clearly is very excited when GHDs are present in an event like this. And I want to say, like, even in that transition chase, as he left the rope, he grabbed the chalk, tossed it perfectly ahead to the next rope so that he knows there will be no waste in his transition.
Grieshaber trying to keep pace with Pat Vellner. This is Grieshaber's second appearance here at the third appearance here at the CrossFit Games. He's actually got 33rd both times, a former team athlete as well. Good on his hands, inverted. We only talked about Danielle Brandon last year, but one event win in his career. And that was an inverted medley last year. Pat Vellner has about a 12-rep lead. If you look at the top part of your screen, that'll be the total reps they've had. And Adrian, this is exactly what you're talking about, where Vellner went down and just tossed the chalk over to the next station.
Hey, and it's sitting directly underneath the next rope. I mean, we talk about accuracy, coordination, agility, balance being part of our 10 general physical skills, and Pat just showing us a slight version of his there. But Chase, this alludes to the fact that there are games within games here at the CrossFit Games, where it's not just raw fitness, it's not just getting suffering to the highest level, but look at that. Look at the accuracy.
You say perfect toss, Adrian. You weren't kidding. That's the perfect toss. Now, as a former affiliate owner myself, I just look at something that someone's going to step on. But in this case, we know he's going to pick it up.
Yeah, I understand. And everybody that's tuning in and listening that has cleaned the gym floor after a sturdy hanging or pulling workout for the day within an affiliate understands that sometimes chalk is the cleaner's enemy, but we know it's the athlete's friend.
Just past the 9-minute mark, Vellner's on to his 4th set of 3 rope climbs, back to that 13-foot high. And one thing you see there is keeping his hand on the rope in between reps.
Yeah. And that's almost I love that for an act of self-discipline. Because honestly, the last thing anyone wants to do is get back up as fast as they can. But if he holds on tight, he knows he can't go far, and he's going to force himself to get right back up for the next rep.
Pat Vellner back to the ski here, 50 cals on the ski as he is opening a significant lead on the rest of the field, as Cole Grieshaber is now done with his GHD sit-ups. But at one point in time, he's actually matched up with Vellner. Now it's from the skier going in to those 50 GHDs.
And as Vellner is here, chipping away, we get a great shot of his monitor there, holding about a mid-1200 watt output pace. He wants to hold that and keep his aggressiveness because we're merely in the middle of heat 1, Chase. Those that are following Pat in this particular heat is going to be of no reflection of the 3 heats that are awaiting and just sitting back to see what time they need to chase down.
Pat Vellner, top part of your screen in lane number 3, lane number 4. That is Cole Grieshaber. As Pat Vellner has probably one of the greatest careers of any male athlete in the history of the sport, and just has that elusive CrossFit Games victory. He has been 3rd 3 times, 2018, 2021, 2023. He has won every single major off-season event there is in the world. To complete the career, and this is why we focus so much on what would happen yesterday, is to try to get that CrossFit Games title.
Yeah, and that's why it's important when we think about just Pat in general and his execution. We look at the combination of movements here in midline climb and how they play out very great for his skill set and his capacity. He's 3/4 of the way through. He's on that back portion of the 50 cal skier. He's got 3 rope climbs to come and 50 deadlifts. And Pat's got to continue to have urgency. Chase, I mentioned this. He has the potential to set the time that could not be touched for 3 remaining heats, even if men know the time to beat. And that expresses someone's capacity because he's got high levels of it, but he's got to stay the course and stay urgent.
If there's anyone that can set the time to beat in heat 1 to carry through, it's Pat Vellner. Pat Vellner has 11 event wins that involve deadlifts. Now we know this isn't the whole thing, but he's amazing on the rope. Usually his biggest kryptonite is swimming and upper body pressing endurance and stamina. That is nowhere to be found here in this event.
Nope. We'll see if he keeps his haste here on these rope climbs. He's going to keep his hand on the rope as previous rounds. There he goes. That he does. And that enough, again, forces him to get back up the rope. Strong foot clamps on each. I've only seen him miss his clamp on one occasion. That was on the long rope at the turnaround, and he's off. Wow.
Vellner is done. He'll put on his belt and he'll move on to 50 deadlifts. Started with 50, ending with 50. 225 on the bar. Pat Vellner, as we said just a second ago, 11 victories with events that have deadlifts in them. And you think not only that, but one of the best deadlifters in the field when it comes to max weight.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. And when you look at someone who can deadlift over 600 pounds like Pat Vellner has shown us in the past, this is 225 pounds on the bar, but he's doing it 100 times in this event. He opened with 50, he's gonna finish with 50, he's gonna do a ton of work in between, and a lot of it is fatiguing the musculature that you see right there around his midline, his abdominals, his erectors, his low back, his glutes, his hamstrings. Prime example of top-notch physical conditioning is being able to execute this weight at this volume.
Pat Vellner has 2 reps left to go as he gets to 30. The number to get to is 315. You look at the top part of your screen, Vellner's at 295. 20 reps left for Vellner. Back part of your screen, Cole Grieshaber done with his first set of 10. There's no way he's catching Vellner. For Vellner, it's all about how fast can I finish. 10 reps left for Vellner. Approaching the 14-minute mark. And Pat Vellner, 33rd place finish to start the weekend. And all things considered, he's right at home because this is what he does. Time to start climbing.
14-14. They have the time to lead going into week number 2.
That's showing us that Jukic is on the back of his jersey as well. They're holding it up.
And now the race for third in the middle of the floor.
Cole Grieshaber. 20 reps left to go. Pat Vellner set the time to beat at 14:14:05. Approaching the 15-minute mark. 20-minute cap, 5 minutes to go. Grieshaber, who needed a big finish in the final event at the West Coast Classic just to get here, will cross the finish line just around the 15:07 mark. Cole Sager, Kalen Clements on the right side in the yellow. Clements a rookie. Clements made we talked about big moves on the final event. That's pretty much Cole Sager's bag, but Kalen Clements pulled his own Cole Sager at the French Throwdown this year. He was about 4 spots out of a qualifying position going into the final event. Made his way into the top 10 to make his first bid here to the 2024 CrossFit Games.
It's also one of the beautiful things you see about our sport. It's a rookie right there going head-to-head with an 11-year vet.
Kalen Clements out of Spain. Now, athletes are starting to join him as Cole Sager moves forward. But on the right side of your screen, you've got Alexander Caron and Jack Rosema. On the opposite side of the floor, you have Bailey Martin just out of screen trying to chase down Cole Sager and Kalen Clements.
Hatfield bringing up the rear in the middle of your screen. He was one of those athletes that we talked about prior to this event as, hey, he's got a lot of good numbers on paper, but he's a rookie. This hinge dominant event here with a lot of distance to cover with GHDs isn't something that you would put together for him, but I wanted to see how he'd respond. He and Guy are going to be bringing up the rear, but they're going rep for rep against each other there in the back, mid and into the left of your screen.
All right, Alexander Caron looks like he's moved up ahead of Cole Sager, and he will finish just ahead of him. Sager still has 5 reps left to go, but Sager is struggling on these last few deadlifts. Kalen Clements, 5 to go. Cole Sager gets it done. He'll sneak in 4th in the heat. Kalen Clements is in. Jack Rosema, former wrestler from Ohio State. His rookie debut here at the CrossFit Games. Left side of your screen, Bailey Martin, 1 rep left to go. Bailey Martin is in. We have 3 left on the floor. Arthur Semenoff, Guy Malheiros, and Austin Hatfield. And if they're not careful, we talked about getting theirs. We know there's a clean ladder coming up. Potentially, you know, they got to get there first. Right? But tonight, different story.
Yep.
We got 1,600 meters on the track. We know he's got some speed.
Yep.
Then we have that sprint carry, but the toll it takes just to get to the place that you're good at.
Right. Yeah, it's certainly one of those things. And with this weekend, there's been changes. We don't know what changes are waiting for us. We don't know if the structure's going to be the same, if the cut's going to be the same. But you've got to have that understanding that if you want your chance to shine, you got to show that you have strengthened weaknesses enough to earn your right to stay.
Dean Malheiros is done. Austin Hatfield, a couple of reps left to go. Paul Sager doing what he always does, getting the crowd behind the athletes. And Austin Hatfield will come in underneath that 20-minute cap. Heat 1 for the individual men is done. It was all Pat Vellner, who has a tall mountain to climb if he wants to get on top of it with that 33rd place finish, and we'll see if that time can stand for the next 3 heats.
Everyone was out the gate at the same time for this particular heat. And I'm going to tell you right now, we talked about Pat Vellner needing to do something special to build momentum for him to chase the podium again the back half of this week, and he did not disappoint. We knew deadlifts, rope climbs, erg work, GHD sit-ups, in the unique combination that they are, particularly in this chipper, we're going to give him a chance to shine, and he did just that from start to finish.
Pat Vellner sets a time to beat. As you see, Jukic on the back of several of our male athletes so far. 14:14:05. As we have 3 heats left to go, and we'll see if this time will stand with 30 more athletes. Heat 2 coming up next here in Dickies Arena.